So these boys grow up, and they're very different from each other. Verse 27, the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. So you'll notice in verse 28 that it tells us that Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now, I don't think that what this is intending to say is that Rebekah doesn't love Esau and Isaac doesn't love Jacob. I think the intent here is to show that there's just a natural propensity to appreciate the things that Esau does if you're Isaac, and vice versa for Rebekah. And so Jacob, in verse 29, sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. He's been out. It's been a long hunt, and he's struggling, and he tells him, I've got to have some of that food. Feed me. And notice verse 30 tells you exactly what Taylor had said. His name was called Edom. So he's the progenitor of all the Edomites later on.
Now, there are some traditions, and we don't know if these are correct, that actually Esau had been running from people who were trying to kill him, and that Esau actually was trying to protect the birthright and therefore sold it to Jacob to keep in the family because he thought he was going to be a dead man because there was a whole group of people trying to find it and kill him. Mm-hmm. And whether or not that's true, it's just interesting because sometimes we look at Esau like, this guy gave away his birthright for some red pottage, and we don't have all the details. Like maybe he just really didn't care, or maybe there was something going on that he was trying to protect the birthright in the family. And we'll get into this a bit more, but I love Esau because some things happen in the story that don't work out in his favor, and yet we see that he ends up forgiving his mother, his brother, even though he lost access to some things that he thought should be his.
Yeah. So he tells Jacob in verse 32, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So Jacob asked him to swear that he would sell the birthright, and he swore, and he gave him the pottage of lentils in verse 34.
I'm not really into lentils, so
if you're dying, you're probably going to be into lentils.
Maybe some steak and potatoes.
Yeah.